listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brent Atwater. I'm the animal medium. That's right. I look at, see, and talk to pet spirits face to face. And we want to welcome you to our text question show. You're going, what's that? Well, we're going to start a show monthly where we text questions in to the phone number. And if your text question comes in while we're taping this show, we'll probably call you and talk to you live. So make sure when you see our announcements on our Pet Life Radio page, my Pet Loss page, or the Animal Medium page, or in my Animal Pet Loss group on Facebook. We're about 51,000 strong and growing, and we hope that you will send us your questions because we get a lot of our questions from there. We have a huge buffet discussion over there. And something also we're going to be doing new, which we did in one of these shows, is we're going to have Spanish and Portuguese transcriptions of our shows and of our YouTube videos. So I think this is really going to be fun because as we add our books After Death Signs and my book Animal Life After Death into Portuguese and Spanish, we already have it in French, but when we increase our editions to the Portuguese and Spanish editions, we're going to be having these shows transcribed into Portuguese and Spanish also. So I think that'll be fun and it'll help heal hearts around the world because what we're trying to do is to be the voice of pets on the other side so you know what's going on because they're not dead. The fursuit is just set aside and left on Earth and they're alive and well and ready for a journey with you and you're going, well, it's a little far out there. I don't know if I can think about all of that. Well, it's called expanding your mind. And if you don't want to expand your mind, just consider it because if you'll consider it, then that will allow your pet to contact you. And once you've ever been contacted, you can't go back. That's right, isn't it, Amanda?
It's true, yeah. And you wouldn't want to.
Well, and explain how when you weren't into this and how you just sort of all of a sudden, how you made your journey of getting there, as they say.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm not naturally a skeptical person, but it was just such a new idea. Like I've said previously, Dynamite did present her spirit form really close to her transition pretty much right afterwards. So I had that immediate feeling of, okay, there's something happening here. And I got to
ask you, were you brought up not to believe in this?
No, I guess I'm really open-minded. I'm very curious and open-minded, but I also can be somewhat logical sometimes, you know.
Well, just tell me from that perspective. Now, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do, because we're trying to talk to folks out there. Somebody said to me, well, why should I do that? All my life, I've never thought about that. And I'm trying to reach the person who's never thought about it to get them to consider this idea, because people say, yeah, I mean, I've been thrown out of, you don't even want to know how many pet loss groups, because I've introduced the idea that there's living energy after death, and they're all going, But what do you think we can say to people who are just considering this rather than going, it's totally wrong? What would you say, because, I'm in this all the time, to somebody who's like, this is a whole new journey? What would you suggest to them?
Okay, I would start by letting them know that they don't really have anything to lose in trying it and expanding their mind.
All right, but they think they're going to run into something ugly, and it might be dark, and it might be nasty, and it might sneak up on them in the middle of the night.
There is. I mean, I understand there's some stigma attached to it, but if you can get past that fear and past that, if you've been brought up to think, you should tread lightly on that, you're communicating with someone that you loved. So that energy is not going to be scary and dark.
It's already in your heart.
Right. You already know the energy you're dealing with, so there's really nothing to be afraid of.
All right, but what if they say to you, well, how am I going to know it? I'm not going to know the difference between them and the haints out there, or the ghosts, or the goblins, or the demons, or the dark side, or all those nasty things that go bump in the night that everybody's told me about. What are you going to tell those folks?
I would just tell them to just kind of evaluate what their relationship with their pet meant to them, how it made them feel in their heart. It's a one-to-one connection. You are the only one that has that connection with that pet.
Amen.
And so, I mean, that's something that if you open your mind, you will be able to instantly recognize it.
See, folks, it's not me that thinks that way. There are other people out there, and I think Amanda has done a a wonderful job of articulating it. So, Amanda, say that again, because sometimes when they say it for me, they're just going, wait, Brent's saying it because that's what she does all day long, and that's what she sells books and YouTubes off of, and that's what she does readings on. Tell it from somebody who didn't start there. Say it again, and the most purest form of all is your comment about your heart. Listen to this, folks. This is real. Go ahead.
Okay. You're communicating with your pet, and you loved your pet. It was a bond that only the two of you shared. No other two souls have ever shared that same bond.
Oh, man.
So I mean, it's pure. It's as pure as the love that you felt for them, and it really enhances your relationship. It makes you look at everything differently. It makes you think of love differently. That's why I say you don't have anything to lose, because you're not gonna have negative energy hanging around if you're not inviting in negative energy.
Because the reason you're saying, well, how do I know it won't hang around because I'm not inviting it? Well, here's the deal. When you're asking to talk to your pet specifically from your heart to their heart, that's the closed connection. It's not like a streetwalker walking down the street going, bring it on and singing Marmalade, Lady Marmalade, gitchy, ya, na. It's not like that at all. It's more like your heart is reaching out to the heart connection of your pet that you've known for all the years that they were a part of your life. That's as closed of a connection as you can get. One-on-one. So, after you decide to do that, Amanda, how else can we help expand them?
Well, and basically, I know some people don't, to me, it was a really personal journey. I didn't go put it on a billboard that I was exploring this. It was very personal. And I had actually a close friend, my dog's breeder. She's been my friend for about 12 years now. She actually kind of put that thought in my head. I think she was a part of my journey. I talked to her right after Dynamite transitioned. The day she passed, I probably talked to her for 3 hours, and she just listened while I poured out my heart. And we talked back and forth for a few days, and she said, and I'll never forget reading it on the text she sent me, that she might even come back to you. And that was like, whoa, that was a whole nother level, because I was already feeling her presence, but I never had really thought about that possibility.
Okay, I'm going to insert here. Again, we spoke on another show. I think it was episode, the one before this one. How's that? 56, 57, somewhere in there. And a person whose dog had passed was afraid by feeling that presence. Well, don't feel afraid of feeling the presence. That's when you, of course, now I admit, when Mike said, I want to show up, I said, I can't handle that. But I didn't mind feeling his presence, which is an electromagnetic connection. And again, we've got a YouTube video on connection versus communication. But when you feel a presence, that's connection. And in our book, After Death Signs, it talks about connections and how to feel them. And it gives you the correct techniques to be able to do so. But if you're feeling your pet's connection after they've passed, that should be celebrated because they're ready and willing to start a whole new journey for you. And that's them sort of pushing you or encouraging you, wouldn't you say, or inspiring you into, there's more to this than just a dead fursuit.
Oh, yeah. They want to be with you on that journey. Because, I mean, that's the only really way to describe it. Because it's not like it's not like the first day you think about it, you can comprehend all of it. It's a slow process, but you're on that process with your pet.
There you go. And that's more important because when you talk about the stigmas and everything like that, the stigmas come from other people's choices. This is about your choice with your pet. That's like, I was taught all this stuff, and don't be talking to Mike on the other side. And again, we did a video on it's okay to talk to your dead pet, but the reason being is I was taught all of this was like, taboo. But my heart was so connected to Mike, I just had to question it. And you don't have to tell anybody you question it. You don't. Because it's all inside yourself. But I had to go find out where Mike was. Because something inside of me compelled me to know that there was more to this than just Mike vacating his bodysuit in that car wreck. And I think she's right. It's about a personal journey. And it's about the heart connection. And that alone is the merit that gives you the strength and the safety to go forward to learn about this. Wouldn't you say, Amanda?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely agree.
So consider it. And on that, we're going to talk to our sponsors, and we'll be back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
it's hard to find time for your furry family member. That's where Camp Bow Wow comes in. All-day play and overnight camp, daycare and boarding for dogs. Everything is included. Large play areas for fun and exercise. Spacious cabins, comfy cots, even live camper cams to watch from a computer or smartphone. Camp Bow Wow offers the best care and is the place to go where a dog can be a dog. For locations and more information, visit campbowwow.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, we're back, and you're going, again, you going to talk some more? No. This time we're going to answer some questions that were texted in to us, and we really appreciate it. Remember, monthly we're going to have the text and talk questions where we answer you, and if you do them during our radio show, then we might call you and talk to you live on the air. So, Miss Amanda, and we thank so much Amanda Powers and her Dynamite for participating in helping everyone learn about the new journey on the other side and helping us be the voice of pets from the other side who are going, psst, Mom, talk to me. I just left the fursuit down there. Talk to me. I'm alive and well. What's that first question text over there?
Okay, the first question. I was wondering if I feel that my pet has come back to me as a new dog. Is it still okay for me to talk to him as his old form, such as at his grave or when presenting signs? Since Orbit has come back, should I only talk to his soul in my new dog?
That's a two-part question there. Okay, so the first part is, if your pet has come back, and first of all, you feel that your pet is reincarnated. Now, that's not confirmed, but you feel it's reincarnated. And for those of you listening, only 30 to 40% of pets reincarnate. It's not to love you more. It's not because he was sick in the life last time. It's because to learn lessons and to continue learning lessons together. So when your pet comes back and you think it's your reincarnated pet, be sure it's about learning journey and not about your wanting or hoping and you placing your expectations on an animal that might not be your comeback kid. It might be an oversold pet. And you're going, what's that? Check out the videos, check out the archives on the radio station, check out the book, Animal Life Signs. It's all in there talking about what an oversoul is. So, the question was, is it okay to talk to my reincarnated pet as his old form? Okay, here's my question. Why would you want to go to the grave or from the signs and talk to your old pet? Because if it's your reincarnated pet, you wouldn't be getting signs from the other side. Okay? Let's say that again. If it's a reincarnated pet, you wouldn't be getting signs from the other side. Now, the usually only sign that I'm aware of, and this is from 20 years of doing this stuff, of seeing pets and talking to them face to face in pet spirit form, is over-imaging. And we have a chapter on over-imaging in my book. But over-imaging is when a reincarnated pet sends an image of the old pet and overlays it on the new pet, such as for a split second you look at the new pet and it looks like the old pet. That's over-imaging. And then it just briefly goes away in the blink of an eye. That's to let you know that the comeback kid is really the old pet. It's a way of confirming. But usually when a pet reincarnates, you don't have the urge to go to the grave and talk to them because your soul recognizes that they have come back and you have no need to do that anymore. You also don't get signs from the other side from the old pet because if they're the new pet, they're too busy establishing a new life with you to be a split soul on the other side. And no, they don't do split souls. So if you're still receiving signs, then the pet you think is your reincarnated pet, probably not. Amanda, do you have any comments on this?
My only comment would be, would it be possible that these feelings of signs that she's receiving are just the fact that she misses the old fursuit and she's trying to get used to the new fursuit?
I don't know. But usually when you have a reincarnated pet, it just closes that door of thinking about signs from the other side because it's so complete and total that it just sort of really erases your need to go to the grave because you're just whole again. You know what I'm saying? You just feel totally whole again, and so you wouldn't get a sign because it's like, why? And you wouldn't go to the grave because it's like, why? You're so sure and so full and so whole that you don't have that need. Now, do you miss the old fursuit of a reincarnated pet? 100%, 2,000 answers, 2 million yeses. Because every fursuit has its own box of special memories. And one of the memories that I used to have of the original friend was he had this beautiful big furry roof, and I would just bury my face in his fur and cry whenever I'd get upset. Now, the new friend with the bee on his bottom, he's not as fluffy. He's medium fluffy instead of really fluffy. And so there's not as much fur to bury my face in. And sometimes I do miss the original friend's fluffiness. But it's not that he sends me a sign, and it's not that I go to his grave, because his grave only has the dead pet suit. So I really think and I really wish I knew who sent this so I could use your name, but I appreciate it, I really don't think he's a reincarnated pet if you're getting signs from the other side and you feel the need to go to his grave and talk. He's probably a dog that's been oversold by your dog. So that's the answer to that. That in my experience, and let me tell you, there's exceptions to everything, but in doing this 20 years, most people, they'll say, oh, it's my pet and he's reincarnated. And then in time, they start talking to the old pet at the grave or the old pet suit that's buried there, and they'll get signs, and that sort of negates out the fact that they're a reincarnated pet. Any questions you might have, or any explanations or comments you have, Amanda?
One thing to consider, it could be a pet that her former pet had sent to her.
Yep, that's true. Because a lot of times your pet knows that you're lonesome and they really want you to be happy, so they will pick the absolute perfect. And here's another thing. Everybody says, I don't want to replace my pet. You can't ever replace them. They're irreplaceable. If I get a new dog, I'm replacing it. No. They want you to be happy. Pets are about love. They're not about negativity. They're not about sadness. They're about rock on happy. So, you're not replacing your pet. Why? Because that's a individual energy. That's a specific fursuit. And you can't replace the memories because the memories are indigenous or attached to that specific fursuit. Even when Dynamite comes back, and even when Friend comes back. Hello, the new memories will go with the new fursuit. So you don't have to forget any of the old memories in the old fursuit. And you're not replacing anything because they're still alive and well on the other side. And in this case, sending you signs. So that is probably either an oversouling or a replacement pet that was hand-picked by your precious orbit on the other side to keep you happy and filled with love. And by the signs continuing, orbit's probably saying, all right, Mom, now you got a love bug on Earth. Let's all three of us, a little menage a trois going here. Love the Earth pet and love me in my new living energy pet spirit form. And off we go. Hope that helps. Next question.
Okay, next question. What is the typical lifespan of a reincarnated pet, and how would you know that lifespan?
What is the typical lifespan of a reincarnated pet? Okay, here we go again. Usually, when I do a reading and I talk to the pets face to face and I'm tapped into future energy, I ask the pet, how long are you going to live in your next incarnation? And I normally give that information because when an animal communicator is tapped into future energy, if they are fully and completely tapped into future energy, then they should know when the pet's coming back, describe what the pet's going to look like, where it's going to come back, the time frame it's going to come back, and about how long they're going to live, and their soul's purpose for coming back. That's all in the future energy. Now, let me tell you where there's some exceptions of this. There are times when I get really exceptional people that come to me, and I'm very blessed and honored to be a part of their learning journey. And their pets specifically will not give me that information because their pet from the other side is training their parent to become a communicator or a connector and to be able to stand in their own truth. Because once a person, and I think, Amanda, you would agree with this, once you've experienced it, it's in your own truth, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think anybody could come up to you and say, Amanda, pets don't live after they're dead. What would you say to them?
I mean, I wouldn't even have to respond to that because because I just, it's my own truth, and it's between me and my pet, and it's personal, and I don't need their validation.
That's the way everybody should be. And that's what's really important. because it is between you and your pet and their validation. And a lot of times, people who are now becoming more aware, their pet wants to teach them from the other side about animal communication and animal connection. And in that case, when I'm doing those readings, the pet will not allow that, because when you stand in truth and say this to someone else, it's a different feeling than somebody just saying, yep, your pet's a comeback kid, but they forget to tell you where, when, how, and whatever. Well, if they cannot connect to that level, then if they tell you you are going to have a reincarnated pet or a walk-in, they should also be able to tell you how long that pet is going to be on Earth with you. And they should also be able to tell you if they're going to have multiple reincarnations. I've had several pets that are coming back 1-2 more times after the initial death that I'm talking about. And we talk about, okay, they're going to come back this time. This is the way they're going to look. Okay, when you're 70, they're going to come back and they're going to be a blah, 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 because they choose the appropriate animal form to accompany you on that part of the journey. And in each of those incarnations, they give you about how long they're going to live. Or at least that's what I get. So how long is your comeback kid going to be on Earth? The animal communicator that validated, maybe, or that told you, is a better way to say that your pet was a comeback kid, should have been able to tell you how long they're going to be with you, because all of that information is in the future energy connection, if in fact they did connect to it. And the second part you said, can you still receive signs from them or connect with them before you find them? Okay, Amanda, let Amanda say this. Can you still receive signs from a pet before they're coming back? Take it off, Amanda. What do you say, Amanda?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because sometimes there is, I mean, it's not always a quick turnaround. Sometimes there's years, of waiting, and they don't want to just sit on the other side, and you're not just going to quietly wait. Like, that whole window is open for communication.
And I think that says it all. That whole window, if you open your mind, they're going to be busy, sending you signs right up until they get ready to come back. Why wouldn't they be talking to you? You think they're going to go, I'm coming back, and they're going to sit up there with their little paws crossed and go, not saying one word to you, not talking to you, not going to be doing anything with you till then. I don't think so.
I mean, honestly, I think that after my reading, because I always felt like Dynamite was going to be a comeback kid, but it's like once I had my reading and my own feelings were,
validated.
Validated by you communicating with her, it's like that whole pressure of, it took a pressure off of me, and I'm able to enjoy the signs more and just kind of relax and know that I've got several years to wait, but but I also have my boys, and that was part of her reason for going. I have my boys to enjoy and live with. And I mean, honestly, I think that our window of communication is even more open now.
Well, and I also think that it shows you that they haven't gone anywhere.
Right. Yeah,
because they're not going. It's sort of not like a lover that says catch you in 3 years.
Yeah, it's like you're waiting, but you're not waiting. You're waiting to be able to pet them and hug them, but you're not actually. It's not going to feel like waiting.
Plus, you're learning your own truth in between.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really pretty cool, because until you've had signs from the other side, I don't know how to say this any other way. It's just way cool, and it's something that nobody can ever take. Wouldn't you say, Amanda, that it's just something, it's indescribably delicious that nobody can ever take that from you? It's just, wow.
Yeah, it really is. It feels like a gift, and the initial transition that leads you on this journey does not feel like a gift. But once you come to realize your own truth, then it changes your life, honestly.
Yeah, and it teaches you to love differently, that love is bigger than a pet suit, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes you look at life in general, just my outlook. I don't tend to stress over every tiny detail as much as I did, because everything's bigger than I imagined it was.
And how does it change your outlook on love?
I guess I always knew love was powerful, but love powerful enough to cross from one side to the other, that's an indescribable feeling, to know that there's a bond that can be that strong. And if you talk to people all over the world, it's not, it's a lot of people share this. I'm glad that more people are coming together to talk about it. I think it's going to make all of our relationships with our pets and with everybody stronger than it would have been.
Yeah, because it's not an end, it's a beginning of a new journey. And the only thing you really have to get used to is the hug in the fursuit, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, because Dynamite, I still miss her fursuit every single day, and I still wake up and kind of feel for her, and she's not there in that capacity, but I mean, that's where our memories come in. I can call to mind a very visual memory, like a photograph almost of her and how she smelled, and that helps a lot.
Now, have you had her smell any? Now, I know after Mike passed, I could smell Mike. I could smell him walk by in the cologne that I would like him to wear, and there were other times I would say to him, how about changing up colognes? And darn, he did. About a week later, he'd come in another cologne. I go, all right, Mikey, you're listening to me from the other side. This is good. So
I feel like I have experienced that. I've experienced that like alongside dreams. She's very present in dreams, and sometimes, and like when I see her in a dream, it's almost like in the dream I can feel her fur, I can smell her. It's like not just a flash of her image. It's like
an experiential dream.
Yeah, I'm able to kind of be aware that I'm in the dream with her and take time to pet her and hug her and kind of take in that moment.
And all that's in our signs book, folks. After death signs. Go up. There's a whole section to how to ask them to answer questions in your dreams, how to show up for the dreams, how to let them feel, because there are lots of kinds of visitations. There's dream visitations, there's energy visitations, there's sparkler form visitations, then there's full body visitations. And all of these are just electromagnetic energy that's coagulating from the other side to let you know we're alive and well and living pets. And on that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Retrievers, Labradors, Goldens are the main breeds that come through our door, but we'll train anything with 4 legs and a tail. My husband and I own a kennel. We train hunting dogs and also have a boarding and grooming business. Our dogs, they're athletes, and we feed a very quality food. You can't get enzymes in a commercial dog food because they cook it at such a high heat that so much important nutrition is just cooked right out of it. But adding Dynamite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dynamite is nutrition.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
DINOVITE.
Dynamite's the bomb.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dynamite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Looking for the best advice on pet health, safety, and travel? Connect with the Pet Lady. Dana Humphrey, also known as the Pet Lady, will surely be in a city near you real soon. She will be spreading the good news for pets and pet lovers, from tips on dog and cat care, pet industry trends, and the best events for you and your 4-legged family members. Need a great gift idea or insights on the hottest pet gadgets? Simply follow the Pet Lady on Twitter at Pet Lady World. You can also learn more at The Pet Lady at thepetlady.net.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, we're going to do the second part of Paul's question right here is, can you connect with them before you find them? Well, yes. But here's the most important thing in this entire question that Paul wrote. Before you find them. You don't have to find your pet if it's coming back. Do you think that your pet is going to die, leave its fursuit, send you signs from the other side, and then miss you when it comes back to Earth? No. And that's one of the things that a lot of animal communicators say, well, go find your pet. We'll go pick out a puppy and your dog will come into that. No. Here's the deal. If your pet takes the time to come back, you can't miss them if you were blind as a bat. They'd still bump into you while you were walking around with your seeing eye cane. So, you don't have to find your pet. Allow it to come. Open your heart. Allow the feelings of feeling them. And it's just like you'll be able to feel their energy as it gets closer and closer. And that's just being aware. And Amanda, how have you been able to be more aware of Dynamite's signs? Because this is the same way you're going to be aware of Dynamite's return. What do you do to allow yourself to be more receptive? Because you think, well, I don't know what to do to be more receptive to have my pet reincarnate. Well, yes, you do. Just be.
Right, exactly. I mean, for me, I guess my journey is going on about 2 years now. And the biggest hurdle for me was just getting to the point where my overwhelming grief wasn't blocking out the signs. Because, I mean, that's a part of our human nature. We have to process those emotions. And that's an important part of it. But I know that having the background and just the more I search through this, the more I tried the techniques in the books and just kind of tried to put my grief aside to try to do something positive with it.
Okay, now I'm going to point something out here. Your grief was so extreme that you did, in fact, go to a pet counselor, yes?
Yeah, I did some grief counseling.
Okay, and tell people that that's perfectly okay. Would you explain to them? A lot of people are so grief-stricken that they think it has a stigma to go talk to a grief counselor, and it's not. Will you explain why it's okay and sort of what it's about so people who are suffering extreme grief and sort of give us examples of extreme grief, how they can help work through it?
Okay, absolutely. Well, first of all, I guess I was having a really hard time. It was really hard to return to work. Just every day-to-day thing I had to do felt overwhelming because I was still trying to process all of this. But so I did eventually take, my parents actually are the ones that said that I should probably look into they suggested the counseling. And I think maybe people are afraid that if they call up a counseling service, they are going to look at them differently because of the source of their grief.
She wants to come to counseling over a dead dog.
But they're professionals, and they're trained professionals. They understand.
They don't do that.
They understand the whole process of grief and that it's a universal feeling, and they're not there to judge you on why you're grieving. They're there to
say
help
that
you
again.
process.
That's really important. I purposefully interrupted Amanda, and Amanda is so wonderful that she kept going. That's exactly right. I want to applaud Amanda for keeping on going when you heard me in the background laughing. It's just a pet. Get over it. Are you crazy? Are you freaking crazy? And Amanda just kept on marching forward. Okay, folks, that's what you got to do. It's about you and your pet. You are not crazy. This is real. This is real pain. And in today's world where people are so divided and so alone and so autonomous and so living independently, this is real. And your pet is such a real part of the processes of your life. And it's about the stigma of those people, and I'm using those words, those people who say, get over it. It's just a pet, just a damn dog that's, oh my God, you're talking to a dead cat. Why are you grieving over a dead rabbit? Gosh. Okay, come on. When you call the grief counselor, they don't look at you that way. Say it again, Amanda.
Okay, they're not there to judge why you're grieving, the source of your grief. They are there to help you through the process like they've helped hundreds of other people through the process.
Okay, now explain to them that grief is a human emotion, whether it's aimed at a human or at a betta fish or at a snake or at a mouse or a cricket or a ferret or a rodent or a ladybug. Explain that grief is an emotional process, and that's how they can separate themselves over what you're grieving about and teach us about the process.
Right, absolutely. I mean, grief, it's definitely a human emotion. We've all experienced it at some point in time. It has definite stages, and it's not like a 1, 2, 3 step process. You can
stop right there. When you say, now, everybody in our group, we have a professional bereavement counselor called Frankie Johnson. She literally, that's what she does as a living. And if you go on my website page, you can go over there and you'll see it says our healing team. And you will see it says Frankie Johnson, and she's our professional bereavement counselor, because there are people that do need this. And it's really important because Amanda's giving you from the inside out. And when you say it's a process, it's really a process. It's like getting pregnant. First you have to do the thing, then you get pregnant, then you get your reveal party, and then you get your sonograms, and then you have a baby. So there is a process to grief. And if you'll tell us about that, Amanda, because when you say that, I'm going, what do you mean there's a process about grief? Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's definite, and I'm not a professional grief counselor by
We don't want you to be. We want you to tell from the other side.
But you can cycle back. You can think you've experienced the worst of one feeling of grief, like second guessing yourself or feeling responsible. And you can feel like maybe you've finally forgiven yourself. Okay, that's but the if only I'da, right? If only I'd have done this. Oh my God, I killed my pet. Yeah. And you can feel like maybe you finally got past that, but then something will happen and kick you right back to that stage. And you can kind of cycle. I know I cycle back through the steps, like the feelings a lot. I had a lot of that feeling, a lot of just, regret. And I mean, why do you cycle back? Why does this cycle back in? What sets you as a human being off from your perspective? What makes you cycle back? What made me cycle back particularly? I think it's because I'm trying to think. It definitely made me, I tend to try to want to have a reason for everything. And I guess I wanted to rationalize. I kept wanting to rationalize what had happened. Yep. And that's what kept kicking me back, because I knew that if I could sit down with a piece of paper and I could say, well, if I'd done this differently, this wouldn't have happened. And I just wanted there to be a reason. I wanted an explanation. Okay. And that's what would put you back in the cycle. Yeah, that really would. Because I really struggled with that. That was the hardest part for me, is acknowledging what had happened and letting myself get to the point where I wasn't completely beating myself up over it. And, when you say beating yourself up over it, unless you understand this, it's normal. This is normal. Now, if it goes on for an extended period of time, that's excessive. And, it didn't change Amanda any by going to a grief counselor other than helping, right? Right. It kind of helps you get back to your day-to-day, because even, when you experience a loss like this, your employer still expects you to work. Like, you still have obligations to meet. To me, it just helped me get kind of centered to where I could go on with the things I had to do. And another thing, when you're in a workspace, your coworkers may say nothing to you because they don't know how to deal with it themselves. So, you don't want to beat up Betty and Martha and Tom and Harry because they can't say, well, whatever, because they may not know how to deal with grief either. So that's important to know. They just are uneducated in what to say to you. Now, the people that say, well, it's just a dead pet, get over it. This should be another place for them. But that's because they don't understand it. So you just, God bless their negative energy that they've never had the opportunity to experience the kind of love that you've experienced with your pet. That's really what that's about. They just haven't had that beautiful, unconditional love and sharing and emotional companionship and connection that you've had. So we just say, God bless their negative energy and move on. So what other was part of the process of coming through that counseling? And it wasn't extended for me. It was a short term, and I think I went into it a little reluctant, like, oh, I don't think they're going to be able to say anything to make me feel better. Everybody does. So everybody right. out there, listen to her say that again. Go ahead. Say it one more time. I went into it feeling like there's nothing they can say to me that's going to make me feel any better. That is the voice of the world that's listening to this show. Mm-hmm. Now, what did they say or teach you that did help? They have processes. They have exercises you can do. It's been, like I'm saying, it's been going on 2 years. So it's not completely fresh in my mind. But they because I'm the kind of person that appreciates having tools to work with. I like to be visual and have a way to work out things in my head. And they kind of work with you as an individual and help find what's going to work for you. It's really individualized. Someone else might have a completely different experience than I did. And that's what's important. It's individualized, tailored to your emotional needs. It's not a go in there and a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the way you cut your spaghetti. This is the way you eat spaghetti. And this is the way you make the meatballs. It's tailored to your experience. And that's what a lot of people don't know. They just think, well, the grief counselor's going to say I'm crazy as hell because it's a dog and pat me on my fanny and say good luck and don't cry. Doesn't work that way. They tailor this to you. And the time frame that you go is really when the tools become convenient to you. Now, let's talk about, Amanda, when you started taking those tools and expanding your own journey to start counseling yourself with your own awareness. Right. And I think that was the most important. I think that helped me more than anything, because you can go to a counselor for so long, but I am the type of person who tends to like to work within myself. And, it kind of gives you that, where they were able to kind of leave me at the point of my, working through my physical and mental grief. Then I was able to use techniques they had shown me, along with what I was starting to dive into with animal communication and the signs. And the two really can work together.
Because they're not competing, and they're working at different levels, and they're working with different parts of your emotions and your heart. Because when Dynamite first came to meet you, that's something that grief counseling doesn't give you that your heart does.
Exactly. Right. It kind of helps. They kind of complement each other.
Yep.
And they really do. They're for two. One's like more for your mind, and one's for your soul, like your heart.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people, again, think there's a stigma attached to it, and I think that that's just wrong, because they're just giving your mind tools to process through till you can touch the spiritual side of your soul and your heart, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Because there's going to be a block to that spiritual side as long as your mental state is still overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's true. Because I remember Mike said to me on the other night, I was crying, Mikey. And let me tell you, I wail and cry like you. Oh, man, it's just, I'm a mess. And Mike just stood up and crossed his arms. He said, if you'll quit this crying, I can get to you. And I'm going, what? He said, if you will just quit all of this excessive grief, my God, you're pushing away with all these tears and flailing and crying and grabbing your pillow and screaming. And because I just scream. I was not a pretty sight. And he said, just quit it. For God's sakes, excuse me, he did say that. He said, for God's sakes, Brent, get a grip on yourself. Hello, let me teach you some stuff. And that's when I went, what do you mean a dead person's going to teach me something? And he went, well, yeah. And I went, you're dead. How can you teach me anything? Duh. How does Dynamite, being, quote, dead, teach you from the other side?
She definitely does. She was the catalyst, I guess, to this, me even looking into any of this. Without that happening, I didn't have a reason. I had my babies with me. I didn't need to look any further. They were here, and it was just like that overwhelming feeling like I have to find her. There's more to it. This can't be it. I have to be able to find her. I can't be the only one that's ever felt this way. So that kind of set me out to looking online and just trying to start to process all of this.
And that's the key, everybody. That's the reason I started our Facebook group. The pain is universal. You're not alone. Come over there and discuss. We've got people that'll help uplift your heart. They'll talk about signs. Nobody will say you're crazy. We won't say you're weird. We'll talk about it all, because the pain in your heart is the catalyst that love is still alive. Wouldn't you say, Amanda?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And
you don't have to give up love. You don't have to give up love because it's left the suit behind. I think that's the important part to know, wouldn't you say?
Oh, that's extremely important, because, that's part of what you miss so much, is just that connection. That's why they're special to you. And if that part can still be alive and well, then you have a lot. You still have a lot. You're just missing their sweet little furry bodies.
And I think that that's what's important, is that little knowing in your heart that the love has never left, ever, 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 and it's just changed forms, and you're going to have a new journey. And when you're skeptical, you just go, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but the love in your heart just keeps driving you forward until you get it, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And before I dived into this, I wasn't gaining anything. I wasn't gaining anything from just accepting that she was gone. So this was a lot more productive way to deal with my emotions. And, it's completely changed my outlook.
And what would you say you gained from this?
Well, obviously I still don't feel like her transitioning was a gift. That still cuts really deep, but I understand the process a little more. I understand her exit point. And I think a part of the gift is right now what's happening. I've experienced enough that I'm able to reach out to others and maybe help. Maybe they are in a place I was a year and a half ago, when I was just overwhelmed with intense grief and didn't know what I was going to do. And I think
somebody who was where you were, what would you say to them?
I guess I would tell them that if I could go back to that moment and see me now, I would doubt. I'd be like, no, I'm never going to be that. I'm never going to be at that level of, acceptance of this. But I got there, and it wasn't easy, and it's not a great process to go through, but you have the opportunity to make something better of it and to honor that connection.
Well, another thing, who's going through it with you?
Well, your pet.
Yeah. Let's go over that again, folks. Guess who's going through this process with you? Take it on, Amanda.
They're going right along with you. It is a journey. They are there with you, and who's a better teacher than your pet? Like, who would you trust more?
Oh, man. Want to say that again? I love that one.
I said, who's a better teacher for all of this than your pet? Who would you trust more than your pet?
Just think about that. That's the very pain that you started with is the same pain that provides trust. And then you can take that trust from the pain and evolve to a learning journey. And then you're right back to having the same love just without the fursuit. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And the love is still there. It's as strong, if not, it kind of even teaches you love is stronger than you ever thought it was.
I agree with you. Now, see, I've tried to tell people, they don't get that. What do you mean when you say that? Because people say, it can't be any stronger. It was. I loved him more than anything. And you go, oh, no, it's even bigger. How would you explain that to somebody like myself that before I was like, no, I never believed it was stronger and bigger until after Mike died. But I get it. So how would you tell somebody that's lost a pet and you're going to say, well, it's really stronger and bigger? What would you say?
Well, I would say that, when I brought Dynamite home as a puppy, like you have this mindset, they're going to be a puppy. They're going to grow up to be older dogs. You're going to love them as much as you can. And then you kind of know being a pet owner, one day you're going to have to say goodbye. But a dog isn't going to have that 10, 12, 15-year lifespan. If you have this connection, that dog can be with you throughout your entire life.
Yeah. You want to say that again?
Your dog, your physical dog and its fursuit or cat or bunny, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to say, oh, well, this dog's usually live to be about 15 years. You don't have to cut it off at that point. Like their love doesn't stop there because anyone that has a dog or a cat that they love, they know it has a soul. Even if other people don't want to believe that, if you love an animal, you can feel it. And why would a soul exist to disappear?
Yeah, and to take up its little mat and go, I'm out of here, bye. No, it's just changing fursuits. It doesn't take up its little mat and go, okay, next house. And I think, what would you say, and I'll preface this with what I feel, when we say the love is bigger than you thought it was? Well, the way I think about it is, after Mike died, I really thought he was dead. And I was focused on his deadness. Dead boyfriend, dead fiance, dead. Dreams are dead, everything's dead. Never dead, ever dead. And that was all over my head, okay? But now, it's like, whoa, that was way cool. We went to the airport together. Oh, wow, we go shopping every day together. Or, whoa, I didn't know in the middle of a show he could say, check out the girl on Dancing with the Stars. I like the one that's the blonde. I'd go, oh, Mike. So what makes Dynamite's being on the other side a bigger love than their earth love was to you at this point?
Well, you don't have those earthly limitations.
Yep.
They can go anywhere and at any time. That's a big part of it is you don't have those limitations with them.
Even this past Valentine's, I asked Mike, because I was upset. And I asked him to kiss me goodnight. Have you ever been French kissed from the other side? That's nice. And then I asked him just to hold my hand as I went to sleep, and he did. And it just blew my mind, but at the same time it didn't, because I knew it was real. So I knew that I wasn't alone. And I think that when your pet dies or your beloved dies, you feel so alone. But the good part is you can call them back up, and they're right there, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like you break through a wall almost. Yeah,
it's just like there is no wall anymore.
Right.
And what was limited before is if they walked out of the room, they were gone. Or if they were shopping at the grocery store and you were at home, they were gone. Or you were at work and they were at work, they were gone. Well, now they're with you 24/7, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. They don't observe a schedule or anything. They can come right along with you.
And that, I think, is the key factor that makes the love larger and grander than it is on Earth. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, I totally agree.
I mean, that's the only thing I can figure out is before, when Mike would go to work, he would go to work. And now, whenever I ask him to be with me, he's there, and he's even there on times when I don't ask him to be with me. I mean, I've been known to tell him, Mike, you leave me alone, I'm not here today. But I think that that's really important, is that the love expands because there is no time frame, and the access is 24/7. And I think it's mind-blowing to wrap your head around until you experience. And I've been doing this for like 18 plus years now, and even the other night, when it was Valentine's and I was lying there and I really wanted his little self there and he wasn't, and I asked him to come home and kiss me goodnight. He did. And I knew it was him because just as soon as I asked, boy, he was right there. And I just was so blessed and honored. And I just said, you keep it up, Mikey. You just keep it up. And I knew it was going to be okay. So I hope that each of you will allow your grief to expand beyond an earth loss. Would you agree, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that they owe it to themselves and to their bond that they shared to at least, look and consider it.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think I'm going to end the show on that because it's your bond. It's your bond. It's your heart connection. And you have the choice to continue it forever or to let it die with a suit that doesn't contain their spirit anyway. How would you sum it up from your perspective, Amanda?
I mean, I think that really hits the nail on the head, honestly. I think, especially I can think with Dynamite, it made sense to me that she was bigger than that little fursuit because she's very vivacious.
To say the least. There's a reason for this name, Dynamite. I mean, you have got this little small piece of fluff that's running around, and the energy presence of that piece of fluff is like 2 continents wide.
Exactly. So it only made sense that she would want to try other forms, that she wasn't just 12 pounds of dog. She was, what I loved about her was the soul inside of her, which was huge and, very strong and very pure.
And you don't have to give that up. No, you get to enjoy that every day. And that's the speed bump your mind has to go over. So on that, we invite you to join us on our next episode. Check us out on YouTube. I want to thank Amanda for being so candid and vulnerable and open today to help explain what it feels like. And I really applaud her for allowing her story with Dynamite to hopefully help heal your heart. And ask us your questions and send us your text when we have our next show, because we'd like to be the voice for the pets on the other side to tell you like it really is. And again, we'll see you next week. Check us out on YouTube. Check out our Facebook group if you want to talk about this or have more discussions about our show. And Lord have mercy, we got lots of archives on Pet Life Radio that can keep you on listening to podcasts 24/7 until you can get through this. And we're here to help do that. See you soon. Bye-bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.